Today I'm going to discuss the histology of vas deferens and the histology of penis, as you already know. So you have just now learned the histology of testis and the epididymis, hopefully. If you have any doubts in that as well, you can get back to me later on. We'll try to discuss that as well. So if you have any doubts during the class, you can ask me. We'll try to clarify it as and when, or at the end of the class. Okay. So histology of vas deferens and penis is these are two completely different kinds of tissue. Vas deferens is essentially a tube, the efferent duct system from the testis, which actually carries the sperms and makes it possible to be ejaculated. So as you have seen, so this is the testis, and you have the seminiferous tubules in the testis, and from here you have the retate testis, which collects all the uh, spermatozoa, which are carried into the uh, epididymis or duct of epididymis, and that progressively becomes less convoluted and ends in the tail, and the continuation of the epididymis from the tail is the vas deferens or ductus deferens. This ductus deferens is a muscular tube which begins at the tail of the epididymis and is a content of the spermatic cord. This spermatic cord passes through the inguinal canal, and then basically it carries all the structures that either go or come from the testis. The spermatic cord includes, in addition to the ductus deferens, it will include the pampiniform plexus, the cremaster muscle, the testicular vein, genital branch of the genitofemoral nerve. So it will include all the coverings, facial coverings, which are carried along with the testis as the testis descends through the uh, inguinal canal. Okay, so ductus deferens is one of the important structures that is present within the spermatic cord, which traverses the inguinal canal, and then inside the abdomen, it basically goes into the pelvis. It runs along the pelvic brim and then reaches as low as the bladder, and then as it reaches behind the bladder, it forms a dilated part which is called the ampulla, and that actually joins with the duct of the seminal vesicle or the ampulla of the seminal vesicle, which together form the ejaculatory duct, which is situated behind the prostate, and together they open onto the urethra at the prostate, near the prostatic utricle, in the prostatic urethra. Okay, so that is the vas deferens gross anatomy briefly. And if you look at the vas deferens from, this is ductus deferens, like the ductus epididymis. You will have multiple folds of these lumens, which will, basically within the epididymis, many of the uh, ducts actually they converge and they form one epididymis. So you'll find a lot of these structures which have basal rounded cells, and you have the principal cells which are kind of columnar. So you will have a pseudo stratified appearance, and these have stereocilia, and the spermatozoa are within the lumen, and these individual tubular structures are enveloped or enclosed by smooth muscle. Okay, so multiple of these actually join together and they form one vas deferens or the ductus deferens. This diagram on the left side is actually showing the entire contents of the spermatic cord. You can see uh, multiple veins in the pampiniform plexus, then the testicular artery and the testicular veins, the ductus deferens, and then you will have small veins and connective tissue and cremaster muscle, everything. Okay, so the ductus deferens can be easily identified even without opening the spermatic cord. If you just feel the spermatic cord, it feels like a cord because it is made up of thick 3 layers of smooth muscle with a small folded lumen. Okay, and if you enlarge that same thing and see, you will see that there is a pseudo-stratified ciliated columnar epithelium, or you can say pseudo-stratified columnar epithelium with stereocilia, with a basal low cells, or the cuboidal, or you can say rounded cells. They are mostly rounded cells in the base. So you can see this is enlarged part, and there are 3 layers of smooth muscle. Understood? So there is a innermost longitudinal layer, then have middle circular layer and an outer longitudinal layer of smooth muscle cells, which form a thick coat of smooth muscle, which, because of the presence of smooth muscle, when you take out the vas deferens and kind of fix it with formalin and take a section, you will probably find the epithelium being folded, showing longitudinal folds which run the entire length of the vas deferens. So the vas deferens basically has pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelium with rounded basal cells and columnar cells which have stereocilia, and the lumen is filled with spermatozoa. And after the lamina propria, you have 3 layers of smooth muscle. The innermost layer is longitudinal smooth muscle, and the middle layer is circular smooth muscle. You can see the circular arrangement of these smooth muscles, and the outermost layer is again longitudinal layer of smooth muscle cells. So this is a low magnification. This is not a very high magnification. So this is the cross section. Here you can see the pampiniform vein, but you don't have to worry about that. This is another picture of the same vas deferens. You can see the longitudinally folded mucosa of the vas deferens, and you have inner longitudinal, middle circular, and outermost again longitudinal bundles. You can see the longitudinal bundles of smooth muscle, and here the middle layer is actually circular. You can see the long spindle shaped smooth muscle cells, and innermost longitudinal cells again, and you have a lamina propria a little bit. And this epithelium, if you actually enlarge it and see, this is the lamina propria where there is a little bit of connective tissue, and the basal cells are kind of rounded. You can see the round nuclei of basal cells, and on top of them there are columnar cells sitting, and you can see kind of like a brush border, but it is not actually brush border. It is essentially, you can see this, the top portion appears like brush border, but it is essentially stereocilia that are present in the present at the apical domains of the columnar cells. You can see the pseudo-stratified ciliated columnar appearance. Okay, so this is again seminal vesicle, much higher magnification, and you can see the mucosal folds. Okay, and another picture showing the stereocilia much better. So you have the rounded cells at the base and the columnar cells sitting on top of them with stereocilia. Okay, so that is the microscopic picture of vas deferens. Vas deferens basically joins with the seminal vesicle. So the seminal vesicles will have it's a single tubular structure, but what happens is it has multiple folds. So if you take a section, you'll find it to show so many folds or so many lumens, but it's actually a single tubular structure, a continuous tubular structure with smooth muscle forming a kind of a support structure which envelops these folds of the seminal vesicle, which contains again folded epithelium, again pseudo-stratified epithelium, but the cells in the top may not be as columnar or as tall as in the vas deferens. So that is seminal vesicle, which is not there for your exam purpose, but it is good to know that yes, this is how the seminal vesicle looks like. So this gland is an accessory gland of the sexual organs, and it's a tortuous tubular structures. Okay, so that's about the vast difference in seminal vesicles. And coming to the penis, penis, as you know, is a secondary sexual organ, which essentially is a tissue which has the capacity to distend with blood and become erect to enable copulation or sexual intercourse. So it basically is covered by a skin outside, and the skin is loosely adherent to the connective tissue underneath, which underneath the connective tissue there is a tough layer of connective tissue with elastic connective tissue, which is called the tunica albuginea. Okay, and the skin is not very firmly attached to the Buck's fascia or the deep fascia of the penis. It's only attached to the penis or deep fascia or uh, the substance of the penis only in the glans penis. But rest of the dorsal aspect or the rest of the shaft, it is not firmly adherent. So there are uh, veins and arteries that run between these facial layers, and they supply the penis with innervation and the blood supply, and they drain, the veins will drain the blood from the penis. And it's important to understand the penis has a very rich nerve supply and also very rich blood supply. So there are two dorsal veins on the dorsal aspect, the deep dorsal veins, deep dorsal arteries. And there is one dorsal vein, the deep dorsal vein, and then there are superficial dorsal veins, which are just under the skin, and they can be easily seen, visualized. But underneath that deep fascia, you have one single deep dorsal vein flanked on either side by the dorsal arteries of the penis, and within the substance of the corpus cavernosa, corpora cavernosa or corpus cavernosum, you have a deep artery of the penis, which will send multiple branches from this deep artery, which are called helicine arteries. Okay, and all of these arteries are controlled by parasympathetic innervation. Parasympathetic activity will relax the smooth muscles in these arteries so that more blood flow will happen, and that increased blood flow will fill these cavities, which are irregular uh, endothelium bound spaces, which are called sinusoids. So that actually cavity or cave like appearance is what is why it is called the corpus cavernosum, and that cavernous space is filled by the blood. Here you can see there are a lot of spaces here in the microscopic picture, and you can see this is the tunica albuginea, which is covering the each individual corpora cavernosa, and it's enveloping even the corpus spongiosum, and together it's enveloping all of the three erectile tissues of the penis. And in the microscopic picture also you can see the deep dorsal vessels, arteries and veins, and superficial also you will see some of the blood vessels, and the skin is on the outside. Skin, as you go to the tip of the penis, it is loose, and it basically becomes a mucous membrane on the inner side of the prepuce or the foreskin, and that is attached firmly to the glands of the penis. So in total there are three erectile spongy tissues within the penis, the two corpora cavernosa dorsally and one corpus spongiosum on the ventral aspect, in which there is a centrally placed urethra. Okay, so that spongy part of the urethra is traversing the entire length of the, or most of the length of corpus spongiosum. So that is the gross and microscopic picture. Microscopically, you can see the corpus cavernosum on either side, separated and enclosed by the tunica albuginea, and then outside that you have these vessels on the dorsal aspect, the dorsal vein of the penis and the dorsal arteries of the penis, and along with that there are nerves, and you will have the buccal fascia covering all of this, which is the deep fascia of the penis, and outside that you have the skin, and just under the skin you may find some amount of smooth muscle cells, which are nothing but the extension or continuation of the smooth muscle that you see in the dartos. I mean, in the scrotum, just under the skin, you have the dartos muscle. So some of those fibers can actually extend into the penis as well. Okay, and within the corpus spongiosum, you have the centrally placed urethra, which has different epithelium and different places, different parts of the spongy urethra itself. It undergoes transition from being urothelium to uh, stratified squamous non-keratinized epithelium. Okay, so this is the transverse section of the penis. That same thing. This is the corpus spongiosum, which is showing which is at a higher magnification. You can see the urethra, which kind of like has extensions, and within this spongy urethra there are multiple small glands which open into the urethra, and there are cavities or the spaces which are lined by endothelial cells, and these can get filled with blood, and that results in erection, because the venous outflow is obstructed as the blood flow increases in the arteries, and it fills the spaces. That tension itself causes the veins to collapse and stop the venous outflow. Okay, and once ejaculation has to happen at the end of erection or end of sexual intercourse, the sympathetic innervation will cause the blood vessels to actually contract and stop the blood flow and enable the venous return, and also that sympathetic innervation is responsible for stimulating the smooth muscles which surround the urethra to start a peristaltic movement which causes ejaculation. So between these spaces you will have smooth muscle, which you can see here. This is higher magnification. You can see the endothelial lining of the cavernous spaces. Okay, so that's all about the histology of penis and vas deferens.